Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Night Tavern podcast, where you can get my opinions on the things that I like or dislike, whatever it may be. Today, we're talking about something that has totally taken one of my most favorite series to a whole new level: Yu Gi Oh! And the Dark Side of the Dimensions, the fourth movie installment of the franchise and the celebration of the 20th anniversary. I have to admit that I was worried that I wasn't going to get the chance to actually see and talk about this movie because it wasn't anywhere near my place to go and see it. But luckily, I found it being played in my state's capital and made the hour trip to go and actually see it. And I can tell you right now, it was totally worth it. And I'm just going to say it right now. If you're a die-hard Yu Gi Oh fan like myself and the movie is playing near you, you need to go out and see it. We need to give this movie as much attention as we possibly can because despite this being the fourth movie installment for the franchise, this was the very first time that I felt like that I was actually watching a Yu-Gi-Oh movie. Let me explain by why Let me explain why by addressing the other movies real quick. Now, I've only seen the last two movies and never saw the first one since I never knew about it. Pyramid of Light, the second installment, was the one that I did see in theaters. I thought that at the time it was a good movie, even though the animation was the same, but it was good animation. It featured the same characters with a new villain named Anubis, whom I thought was kind of a weak villain, since he didn't show up till the end and had Kaiba do all the dirty work for him. But it was a decent film. Bonds Beyond Time was too a good movie. It was definitely a step up from the previous movie, but honestly didn't really feel like a movie like Pyramid of Light did. Bonds Beyond Time was, in an essence, reminded me of Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, because Turbo was a movie and played right into the story of Power Rangers Turbo. It was the same here for Yu Gi Oh! 5Ds. Bonds Beyond Time was the start of Season 2 for 5Ds and continued the story, especially since near the end of Season 2, the main villain, Zone, mentions the fact that he sent Paradox to the past to try and destroy dual monsters. I thought that movie was good with great animation and the fact that it was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the series by having the three main heroes, Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei, joining forces to battle Paradox was awesome. Paradox, though, just like Anubis, felt kind of weak to me because he barely did anything. He just went on his dual rider, stealing and collecting rare dragon cards, and we never saw him do any of that. It's not until the final duel that he does anything, unfortunately. And the villain in this movie kind of falls into the same category, but actually does more in this movie. The plot centers around a new character named Agami, which turns out to be an alias, and his true name is Diva, who wields an item known as the Quantum Cube, which, when used in a duel, can turn it into a dimensional duel. While in the meantime, Yugi and his friends are getting ready to graduate from high school, and each of them share what they have planned for their future. For example, Taya wants to go and study abroad in New York to become a professional ballet dancer, which is what she does. While Kaiba, being the overachieved, power hungry gaming guy that he is testing out his newest dual disc that will give duelists the ultimate experience. A dual disc that will bring to life actual artificial intelligence that is powered by the duelist's actual brain, bringing their greatest imaginations to life, while at the same time is committing an excavation at the site where Yugi and the pharaoh Atem had their duel in an attempt to retrieve the pieces of the Millennium Puzzle and reassemble it so he can even the score with him, while not knowing that the pharaoh's spirit has left the puzzle for good after losing to Yugi. While Diva attempts to take revenge on those who killed his master, Shadi, and create a new world without hate. I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum here since I want more people to go out and see this movie, but there will be a few that I will spoil here, so you've been warned. One thing that really gets me about this movie is that Kaiba must no longer just be focused on video games, but has now expanded his resources to other means, since he now has his own frickin' secret service team that goes after Diva after he steals two parts of the Millennium Puzzle. I mean, what the hell, Kaiba? I guess Kaiba does want total control, which would probably explain why some people think that Kaiba is the true villain in Arc 5. Also, what the hell was up with Mokuba? His new hairdo was just plain weird, and I didn't recognize him at first until I heard the voice. I guess he decided to get rid of his long hair and look more professional. Kudos! Anyway, let's start with what I love about this movie. And while it's not perfect, I mean, let's be honest, there's no such thing as a perfect movie, except, well, maybe Beauty and the Beast, but y'all know what I mean. It is a beautiful movie. What I really love is the animation and the use of CGI for the monsters. The animation is just breathtaking and beautiful. It is gorgeous for an animated Yu-Gi-Oh movie. This is not only a huge step up from Bonds Beyond Time, but they spare no expenses when making it. You can just tell that they went all out and put all their heart and soul into this, and I'm very thankful for that. The CGI is also top notch as well. I've read that the way the CGI is done for the monsters rubs some people the wrong way, but ever since 5Ds into especially this movie, I've personally liked it. I think it's a good idea that the monsters are now CGI, and it just gives the monsters their own unique form of expertise and just makes them stand out even more. I also love that we got all the original actors returning to their roles for their characters. Dan Green for Yugi Moto and Tim, Eric Stewart as Seto Kaiba, Wayne Grayson as Joey Wheeler, and etc. This is one of the hardest things to do for something like this, especially for a series that's been going on this long. Especially if you're doing a movie that's based on the original of a series that has had many sequels, and getting them all to return and take on their roles again. Usually, they can't get everyone back for something like this, but I'm very grateful that they were able to, and my thanks to the actors for returning for this movie special. Another thing that I love about this movie, and that not only makes it stand out from the other movies and actually makes it feel like a movie, is the fact that there's more than one duel in the whole freaking movie. And thank goodness for that. There's got to be at least 5 duels in the movie, and that's why this actually felt like a movie to me, because we didn't just have one duel that determined the face of the earth that was dragged throughout the entire movie. It was all built up to the very last duel. Even though I did feel that the last duel was a little bit anticlimactic, but was a great thrill though. This is what you're supposed to do for a Yu Gi Oh movie: have more than one duel in it and not have a duel that completely drags throughout the entire movie. That was one of the main problems with Pyramid of Light. The battle between Yugi and Kaiba dragged completely throughout the whole movie, leading to the battle with Anubis and the Pharaoh, and got boring pretty quickly. In this entire movie, during the duels, I was on the edge of my seat every time because of how fast, exciting, and just flat out badass the duels were, especially the duel between Yugi and Kaiba. The music was pretty good too. They brought back some of the classic songs that we heard from the original series of this franchise, even though we didn't hear the lyrics. Just the theme themselves was pretty surreal and nostalgia, like Kaiba's theme, I'm Back, just brought back great memories. The new music was great. I always get chills when I listen to a choir in the background of a Japanese animated series or a film. They really know how to bring in a choir and what to have them sing. It's just awesome. Now, let's talk about the cons, shall we? There's nothing really bad about this movie. In fact, you could say that the cons for this movie are more just nitpicks. But there is something about the villain that I need to address. I'm honestly tired of the same cliche that we are seeing in most of these villains in the Yu-Gi-Oh series. It's just some guy who wants revenge on someone so they can remake the world in their own image and blah blah blah. Jeez, give me a break. I am so damn sick of these guys. Why can't we have an original villain for once? Like someone who wants to take down Kaiba because he sees him as a threat. Or hell, why not Kaiba himself? He'd make a great villain. Make it that he goes too far and has to get taken down by Yugi or some other protagonist. Like I said, there's some speculation that Kaiba might be the main villain in Arc 5, but I can't back that up right now. Anyway, the reason why I say this is because once again, we have a villain that just wants revenge and wants to reshape the world in his image, but He misunderstands and ends up giving into evil, loses the duel, learns his lesson, and blah, blah, blah. The only reason that worked for Merrick was because it was the first time for the show, plus Merrick was straight up evil. He was diabolical, cunning, deceitful, manipulative, and wanted revenge on the Pharaoh because he believed that he should have been the Pharaoh. It only worked then because it was a first for the show, but gets boring pretty quick when you play it out for the entire franchise. Now, with that said, I will say that Diva is not a terrible villain. He's definitely a lot better than Anubis and Paradox. He's doing a lot more in this movie than they ever did. He's there right from the get go. He's using the alias name Ayagami for a reason so he can get close to Yugi and his friends, and wants to prevent the Pharaoh from ever returning by eliminating his vessel, which is Yugi. Yes, his whole agenda is revenge on the world because he wants to remove hate from the world, but is blinded by his own hate, but is doing more instead of coming at the final third, and I will give that a plus. Another nitpick about the movie to me was the confusion of the dimension duel. I got the fact that according to Diva, they are able to summon monsters without making a sacrifice and infuse their spiritual energy to maximize their monster's attack and defense power, but never got how Diva was summoning more than one monster since he never stipulated that rule or the fact if he was special summoning or not. Unless I somehow missed that or something, I don't know. But it did leave me a little confused. Speaking of confusion, how the hell did Kaiba summon Obelisk? When the Pharaoh left, so did the gods. That totally came out of left field and didn't make any sense whatsoever. And the final nitpick that I had for this movie was the return of the Pharaoh Atem. Now, I'll be honest, I knew that he wasn't going to come in until the last minute and that he wasn't going to get that much screen time since his soul is no longer trapped inside the Millennium Puzzle. But I do wish that they could have carried out the duel a little more with him. Though we do get a holographic duel between him and Kaiba throughout the movie, but was not the real Atem though. With that said, I will admit that when Atem does come in, it was awesome. And when he makes his appearance, you can't help but get excited knowing that the Pharaoh has returned. And the same as the opposite when he leaves. I won't deny it, when the Pharaoh left, I got a little emotional and was actually expecting Yugi to get emotional as well, but didn't. Instead, they both just stood there smiling at one another, and Yugi giving him a nod, and Atem then leaving. So, yeah, I wish we could have gotten a little more time with him, but it was understandable. And with that, I think that sums up the entire movie in a nutshell. And again, if this movie is playing anywhere near you and you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan like myself, go out and see this movie. You won't be disappointed. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh movie that we've been waiting for, and it's definitely a well-deserving and honoring movie for the 20th anniversary, and I'm going to give Yu-Gi-Oh and the Dark Side of the Dimensions a double thumbs up. Guys, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, give it a like, comment down below if I missed anything, and what you thought about this movie. Subscribe for more content to come, and with that said, the Night Tavern is closed for the rest of the day. Good night, everybody.